Let's hope 3 times is a charm here for my next guest, because she's had some bad luck. We've been waiting to see this UFC debut. Hopefully, and knock on wood, it happens next Saturday. It's Hailey Cowan back here on the program. She's going to be taking on Jamey-Lyn Horth. Hailey, how are you?
I'm good. Could be better. Wish I'd fought by now, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and like you said, 3rd time's the charm.
Yeah. Does anyone have worse luck than you? I can't recall someone having their debut delayed 3 times.
Dude, I think it's my fault, because after the first time I was like, man, I have the worst luck, and it was like God was like, no, wait.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Worst luck.
Yeah, well, glad to, I know we found out about this fight. There was a decent amount of notice. I imagine this was the soonest time you could fight, right? Because I'm sure you wanted to get back in there, because it was your opponent last time that caused the issue.
Yeah, this was the soonest. That honestly, I've already done 2 weight cuts in the span of that was 2 weight cuts in 4 weeks, and now I'm about to do another one that'll be 3 weight cuts in 8 weeks. So yeah, this was probably as soon as I should do it, but I would have been happy to get in there the next week if I could have. So
yeah,
take what you get.
and fighting a fellow fighter making their debut as well. When they told you about Jamey-Lyn Horth, did you know much about her before taking this fight?
Yeah. No, because I grew up in LFA, and I always watch LFA, especially the girls. So I knew about Jamey-Lyn. I was excited about it, man. She was actually one of the ones when I was still fighting at 125 that I thought I would probably fight in LFA at some point, but it just never happened. And then so when they offered me her, immediately I was like, my coach was like, you know her, you know who that is, right? I was like, yeah, I know, let's take it. And he was like, yep, let's take it. So super excited about it. Huge fan of hers, like her as a person, like her as a fighter, and I'm pretty pumped about this fight.
And I'm sure you see the similarities as well. I was kind of looking here. Both of you had a tough time finding opponents on the regional scene. Like, same thing with her. It was like these big gaps because couldn't get an opponent. And I know she's moving up for this fight, but Jamie's kind of saying, hey, I might stay here because it's going pretty well as well. And you're a former flyweight. So is that kind of a cool element that both of you making your debut, both had tough times getting opponents, and now you're fighting? I mean, this would be a main event in LFA. We just get it in the UFC.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped about it, and yeah, there are a lot of parallels there. I don't know. I feel like Jamie's been ready for the UFC for a while. I've been ready for the UFC for a while. She is a big flyweight. I was a big flyweight. I mean, very, very similar.
Yeah. What about style-wise? How are you looking at this one? Again, I know you've kind of looked at tape now and kind of assessed her as an opponent. How do you feel like you match up against her?
She fights like I fought at 25, at 125. We were always the bigger person, so you can afford to be you can afford to be the bully and open up a little bit more when you're that much bigger than everybody. At 35, you have to make a little bit of adjustments because you're fighting someone, the same size as you. But I see a lot of me in her, and I'm really, really excited to, there's no way this fight is going to be boring, because I think we're both, we both get a little bit impatient, and we want to make big things happen quickly. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a fun fight.
And what do you make about the fact, and I bring this up, you'll kind of understand why in a second, but what do you make of her? She won the LFA title injured. Like, she went in injured, barely was able to move, and she was still able to win the title. And the reason I bring that up is, like, does that change the game plan a little bit, just knowing how tough she is, right? Like, I know it's not like someone that's going to be like probably an easy out. Do you kind of think of things like that in a matchup like this?
I feel like at this level, everyone's tough. At the UFC, you're going to search high and low and probably not find anyone who's just not tough. I've also, my bantamweight debut, I was on one wheel as well. A similar injury to hers. I had a meniscus tear, tore my LCL plumb off the bone, had an avulsion fracture in my tibia. Like, it was just or tibia, I don't know, one of those shin bones.
Yeah.
It was just a really nasty injury too. And then the world shut down. So I couldn't even have surgery on it because it was just a mess. So I ended up having surgery like way later. And so, yeah, I've been there and done that and want to fight on one wheel as well. It's not easy, and it's not fun going out there and knowing that you're compromised. But yeah, I know she's tough. I don't feel like I've watched all of her other fights too. And she's great. Like, I know she's great. And I wouldn't want, to debut against someone who I didn't feel was. I do feel like out of these 3 opponents, I do feel like she's the most technical. The other 2 pose different issues than she's going to pose, but I like a technical fighter. I like that better for me anyways, because I too am going to fight that way as well. So I'm excited about it. It's a good matchup.
Now, I got to refresh my memory here because it's been a couple interviews since the actual debut. Like, we've done, I think, 2 since then. But I remember last time for camp, you're doing everything sort of back home. I know Montana De La Rosa was coming to you, and you guys were training together at home. How's camp look like this time around, again, with a relatively short notice fight?
Yeah, so I trained with Melissa last camp too. She came out and trained with me for a couple weeks. Melissa Croden from Canada as well. But not for this one because I, there was just a whole mess of not, the fights all getting bumped around and her
Yeah.
fighting tomorrow, and it was just a mess. So I've been training with Montana a lot for this one as well. She's very different. She poses totally different issues than Jamey poses, but they're the same, same stature. It's still, I mean, with women, we do what we can do, and Montana's a phenomenal training partner. She's always game and always fun and always brings a good attitude. So it's been great working with her. And I've had other training partners as well. Desiree's always here, and then my guys. I've got this young guy coming up. His name's Luis Robles. He's a 125er, and he's 5'7" as well. So I've got good bodies and stuff, and I feel ready. I do need a nap after this fight, though. I'm gonna need a very long hibernating nap because I've been in camp for 5 months.
Yeah, no, it's extra long camp there. Just one more thing on training. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Jamey told me that she went to Calgary to go do some training and found out that there was like a mutual friend of yours or something. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I did know. So Melissa's like my best friend.
So it is Melissa. I wasn't sure who it was. Okay.
So I called Melissa because we've talked about Jamey before, because we're always trying to get good girls together to train,
Mm-hmm.
We talked about getting Jamey out here, every once in a while as well. And we haven't talked to Jamey about it, but just like throwing names around. And so I called her and I was like, oh, my fight's rescheduled. She's like, who are you fighting? I was like, Jamey. She's like, oh no. I was like, what? She's like, she's coming out here next week to help me get ready for my fight. Like, I've already got the plane tickets already been. And I was like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I don't care, Melissa. And she's like, well, I was like, don't feel weird. I know we're both friends of yours. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a sport, it happens.
Well, I think, Jamey's, they're Canadian, right? So there's kind of that reputation of being very polite and not doing shady stuff. So maybe that's it too, but.
Yeah. And I'm Texan, and I feel like,
she said it was fine on her end. Like, she would have liked to do more training, but she basically said, like, just to be fair on all sides, like, Jamey's not going there to get secrets. It was just one of those things that happens every now and then in the sport.
Like, I'm not gonna say anything. I was like, I don't care, Melissa. She can go watch. I've got a billion fights. She can go watch. She's gonna figure out what I'm gonna try to do to her. So
yeah, no, for sure. Speaking of training as well, like, any plans to do any cross training maybe after this fight? Because I know that's typically the better time to go train and do training elsewhere, just because you don't have to worry about like getting ready for a fight and the travel and all that you plan to do. Because I know you've done some training out in Colorado.
Yeah, I love training out there as well, just because there's a good stable of girls. But I haven't planned anything yet. I'm just like, at this point, I'm always looking so far past the fight. The fight just hasn't happened yet. So I'm just like, let's get this fight. I'm probably going to take a week off. Usually I don't take any time off. I'm probably going to take like 4 or 5 days off after the fight this time and kind of refresh and then get back in the gym. But if I come out healthy, I don't want, I want to get through this first contract as fast as I can. So if I come out healthy, I'm hoping to get back in there as soon as they'll have me. So. Okay.
I like it. How's the weight cut? Because you mentioned you already had to cut weight twice already, right?
Good. I'm like 145 pounds. You know, I've kept it down. I'm very disciplined with everything, not just my training, but my diet as well. I could get away with eating crap in camp, but I don't. I do. I don't know. I like to feel like I earned the W before I get in there in every facet of, in every way possible. So I'm good. I'm not worried about the weight. If it was to 125, we would have a problem.
Right. No, for sure. Those days are long gone, though. I mean, it's been a couple of years at least, I remember, since we were talking about 125. So that's good. What do you miss right now during camp that you can't eat? Like, you said you could cheat, but what would you? Is there anything like specifically you're like, man, I wish I could have that after the fight?
Not really. Like, it's easy for me. I don't know. 25 was so hard that 35 is so much easier. I don't really miss anything. Mm-hmm. And I tell I've got these like young fighters on our team that are like amateurs, and they're always talking about what they're craving. And I'm like, you get to the point where you don't even think about it anymore, because that right after the fight, I'm going to, have a few days where I can eat whatever I want. And I don't think about it.
Yeah. What do you mainly eat, like, to maintain your weight and all that stuff? Do you like?
So I train more than anyone I know, and so I eat a ton because I'm constantly burning so many calories. So I eat like 2 peanut butter and jelly, like protein peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day, and on top of my 3 meals. And I still lose weight, but I literally train like as much as my body will allow me to.
Okay.
Because
I'll take your word for it. I'm just exhausted hearing about that. That's
well, I don't do anything else. Like, I've got I'm a personal trainer as well, but that's at the gym. So between my sessions, I'm training people, and then I'm back on the mat, and then I'm doing strength and conditioning. That I'm back on. I mean, it's just really what like I really like to do it, and it's
Okay.
not always right. Sometimes I'm just goofing off in there, but I'm always doing something. So I can get away with eating a bit more in camp than most people can.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure your husband will be in your corner. Who else is going to be in the cage with you?
Oh yeah, my husband will be. He's my head MMA coach. My wrestling coach Donnie Curtis, and then Luis Robles, the
Yep.
amateur.
Flyweight. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, he's
How's
help
this
me
one
out.
play? How's this one playing out on April 29th? How do you see it going down?
I don't know. James good at a lot of stuff. I'm good at a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna go in there and see what I can do. See what opportunities present themselves. I would like a finish. The main event fell off of our card, so I was looking at that and I was like, "Oh, a bigger opportunity to win $50,000."
There you go. Yeah, no, that's good thinking, right? I mean, how many times have we seen that? Someone gets a good finish and then they're up by the main event or whatever, right? So that makes a lot of sense.
Not a fight of the night win because no one wants to go through a war like that, but I would like $50,000 some way.
So you mentioned getting through your contract. So I guess fight one would be here. Do you think you can get 4 in for the year, or do you think, what are you thinking there?
I know it's wishful thinking, but I would like to, if I'd fought in February, I would have been like, heck yeah, but
Mhm.
this is the healthiest. So going into my fight in February, I wasn't healthy. Like I had the first few weeks of camp, I was battling off a pretty nasty injury. And so this actually ended up working out better because when I was scheduled to fight Vidal, I still only had a few healthy weeks of training. Now I've got full, 10 weeks of healthy training for, I had 5 weeks for Jamey, but 10 healthy weeks of training. So this was actually ideal for me because I'm totally healthy now. I had a little funky injury that was nagging and now I don't. So,
Okay.
yeah, so this ends up, everything happens for a reason. And I really do believe that I'm supposed to be here right now. And so I would like to perform as well as I can. And now I can.
And again, I know the goal is just to make it to the fight, have the fight, all that good stuff. But now that you're in the UFC, there's going to be a lot of traveling involved. Is there anywhere you'd like to fight that you haven't fought yet?
Anywhere with no state taxes.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
No, I haven't even thought about it. I would like to fight in Denver. I've got a good engine. My lungs I've got good lungs. So I would like to fight somewhere where I could have that advantage, but I don't care, wherever.
And last question, you talked about being at the gym all the time. Like, what do you do with downtime? Like do you get, because it doesn't seem like you watch much TV or anything or on your phone that much, which is good because I'm trying to get my kids to do that and trying to avoid them from all the pitfalls of, being addicted to their phones.
Yeah, I watch TV at night, but like that's about it. We watch like The Voice and American Idol, and right now I'm watching Night Agent. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I hear it's great. It's on my list.
It's so far so good. It's really good. There's only 10 episodes, but
Okay.
no, I don't. I mean, I train so much. Like when I'm not training, I'm sleeping, or maybe I'll go. Like last weekend, I went on a ruck with my dad, and we rucked with 50-pound backpacks for like an hour.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I'm like, even when I'm not training, I'm kind of doing some form of training. But yeah, I mean, Waco's pretty cool. There's a really cool, there's like 26 miles of trails in Waco that are like top 10 in the United States. And so I enjoy being out there. I don't go out as much as I should now that I live out in a tiny town now, like 30 minutes from Waco. And so I enjoy being at home now because I'm on a farm and it's really pretty out here and there's a bunch of cows and horses. So, I mean, I guess just being outside and
oh, it's so important. I love all that outdoor stuff. Like it's nice to just get away and not need it because there's a whole other world out there that I feel we don't get to see because we're so immersed in all this technology, which is awesome there. But yeah, looking forward to this UFC Fight Night, April 29th. Hailey, if there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, for sure. I need to thank Lone Star Roof Company always because they make sure that I'm able to train even when I don't have fights scheduled. They make sure I have everything I need. The Roof Company, they're kind of a newish sponsor of mine. They've helped me build out this cool barn along with Lone Star, that we turned this barn into a gym and it's freaking awesome. So yeah, those two, my parents, because they're awesome. They keep me, straight and narrow during fight camp, and my husband as well.